Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. China's foreign minister is in Russia to strengthen relations with the country. It says it's promoting a peace plan to end Russia's war in Ukraine. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says he hasn't seen it. FSN's William Denislow reports from Kiev.
During a press conference with Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, Ukraine's president announced he's not seen any official documents from China relating to a peace plan. Volodymyr Zelensky said it was essential to have one standpoint, and that he expects the United Nations to support Ukraine's peace plan when presented on Thursday. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said China's top diplomat Wang Yi had shared key points of Beijing's proposal. Kuleba adds that he won't jump to conclusions and will carefully study China's proposal when he receives it. William Denslow.
China's visit comes as U.S.-Russian relations and U.S.-China relations continue to sour. Yesterday, Russia's President Vladimir Putin said the country would halt its participation in the last U.S.-Russia nuclear arms control START pact. United Nations urged its reinstatement. Meanwhile, its Security Council discussed Russia's call to discuss reported sabotage of its Nord Stream oil pipelines in the Baltic Sea. Yesterday, both Sweden and Germany said their investigation found sabotage caused its blowout that spewed tons of methane gas. This comes after investigative journalist Seymour Hersh reports the U.S. carried out the sabotage with assistance from Norway, citing an anonymous source. The U.S. denies the report. The UN urged continued investigations and discouraged speculation. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden gave a speech in Poland yesterday marking the one-year anniversary of Russia's siege on Ukraine, framing it as a war of democracy versus autocracy. Christopher Martinez reports.
Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. Never.
President Joe Biden gave a 20-minute speech on the war at the Royal Castle in Warsaw.
1 year ago, the world was bracing for the fall of Kyiv. Well, I just come from a visit to Kyiv, and I can report Kyiv stands strong. Kyiv stands proud. It stands tall. And most important, it stands free.
Biden calls the Russian invasion a test of Europe, of NATO, and indeed of all democracies. He says Putin thought autocrats were strong and leaders of democracies weak, but instead, democracies have grown stronger and autocrats weaker. But he also warns there will be hard and bitter days to come, with both victories and tragedies. Reporting for Pacifica Radio News KPFA, I'm Christopher Martinez.
A new coalition of about half the states in the U.S. is pledging to be a firewall of abortion protections. Catherine Carley reports.
Democratic governors in 20 states are launching a network intended to strengthen access to abortion following the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade.
I'm grateful I'm here in California, a state that's fighting for freedom, fighting for reproductive rights.
California Governor Gavin Newsom says the Reproductive Freedom Alliance is a way for states to share information to better serve people seeking care, including those who live in states with more restrictive laws. I'm Catherine Carley for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has ordered Norfolk Southern to pay for the cleanup of the East Palestine, Ohio train wreck and chemical release as federal regulators took charge of a long-term recovery effort and promised worried residents they won't be forgotten. Mark Miracle reports.
Norfolk Southern will pay for cleaning up the mess that they created and the trauma that they inflicted on this community and impacted Beaver County residents.
Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Michael Regan told Norfolk Southern to take all available measures to clean up contaminated air and water. Regulators also said the company would be required to reimburse the federal government for a new program to provide cleaning services for impacted residents and businesses. Ohio Republican Governor Mike DeWine called for reforms so that state and local officials would be notified when railroads haul toxic and dangerous chemicals through their towns.
There is something fundamentally wrong when a train like this could come into a state and the current law does not require, despite what they were hauling, does not require them to notify the state or local officials. That simply has to be changed.
But DeWine has himself come under criticism for having too cozy a relationship with the railroad. Norfolk Southern gave $10,000 to DeWine's inaugural activities about a month before the accident. I'm Mark Miracle.
The Supreme Court will be weighing whether Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube can be held responsible for a 2017 terrorist attack on a nightclub in Turkey in which 39 people died. Plaintiffs claim Islamic State group terrorists used the online platforms to spread their message. The family of slain civil rights leader Malcolm X says it will sue agencies including the CIA, the FBI, the New York Police Department, and others for $100 million, accusing them of playing a role in his assassination. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.